Hello YouTube, this is Morgan, Airspeed Prime here with my next Legacy of Yangchen chapter analysis video. This one's going to be for chapter 29, which is called The Pitch. And this is kind of a big chapter because this is the one where Chai-Si actually just outright lays out what does she actually want. All the plotting, scheming in the background, unanimity, what is she using that to ultimately achieve? Like, what are her ambitions? Because we have an idea about what it is, but it's like, is it literally just that? Is there more to it? We get that, and in general, like, we just continue on the interesting dynamic between these two characters, where they're similar in kind of many ways, but of course, there, as ever in this era, of course, are key issues that they disagree on. And that's the underlying thing throughout this whole chapter, is that Chai-Si actually comes across pretty well, I think, in a lot of these scenes. She presents what she wants in a extremely reasonable way, and then the chapter gradually brings back in, but like, oh yeah, this is all, let's not forget, Yangchen kind of has to do, like, it acts like it has, like, Yangchen has a choice, but really, does she? Because if she doesn't, Chai-Si still has Thapa. And that's the thing to remember throughout all of this, is that Chai-Si tries to find a solution where she can bring Yangchen kind of into her fold. But if that doesn't work, she still has what the whole plan was about in the first place. And you remember, once again, everything that Chai-Si approved and did to, make unanimity happen. And you almost forget that because it's a pretty good pitch here. So, as we know from not the last chapter, the one before, the two of them were going kind of to a separate area to talk alone. And so that's kind of what we get. They go back into the place where they played the game of Sparrow Bones a bunch of chapters ago. And it's noted here that Chai-Si has taken over much of Awashi's debt. So now she kind of effectively has control over Awashi more than she, I suppose, did before. And Yangchen is just like, a deal behind my back, basically. She does thank Yangchen and Master Liu for basically making this happen. And Yangchen notes that, you always do seem to come out ahead no matter the scenario. And then Yangchen just says, I admit it, you're better than me. And Chai-Si's just like, wait, what? Like, better at business? We're partners in business, friends, and equals. So she's trying to play it kind of coy, as in, like, we're not at odds here, This isn't, like, the main hero and the main villain of the story talking here. We are still just fellow Zongdus. But Yangchen wants to drop all the pretending and just get down to, like, can we actually just talk about this for what is actually going on right now? You are trying to, like, you basically have all the room to work with here. What is it you want? Like, that's what we're getting to here. And Yangchen says as much. At manipulating people information, can we drop the act, or are we to circle each other forever? And Chai-Si just say, you seem to believe we're at odds. And this is like, it's so, what she says here, you understand why Yangchen gets a bit angry at this. And worse, you've imagined your pride is at stake, Avatar. If there's one thing I've learned over the years, is that you should never bring your pride to the table, swallow your pride at every turn. So helpful advice to a young woman whom I greatly respect and view, forgive the presumption, almost as a little sister. And Yangchen just, like, blasts the door open to the balcony with airbending. And Chai-Si doesn't flinch because she knows she has full control of the situation. This is not a situation where Yangchen can just kind of force kind of Chai-Si to get what she wants, because Thapa is out there basically under Chai-Si's control, so that's not going to work. She, like, things have to go very specifically for Yangchen to kind of turn things around, and this isn't really working in that way. Obviously, at this point, the balcony is open. Chai-Si then says, I don't think it's fair. Avatar Hood, it never seemed fair to me. Yangchen assumes what she's saying here is what most people say when they think that Avatar, it's not fair. They think it as like, you won the lottery becoming the Avatar. You can bend multiple elements. You have all this kind of power. Instant world leader. It's the luckiest thing possible. But actually, Chai-Si means the other way. Like that, in a way, the world is sort of unfair to the Avatar, pointing out that history will often declare that so much happening in specific eras, just because it's that Avatar's era, is the fault of that Avatar, when it's the fault of the people. And it's Chai-Si kind of pointing out that, like, what Yangchen has been going throughout this book, what she's been dealing with when it comes to, like, the people that she is the Avatar for. Shouldn't humans try to be better? And are they worth giving another chance, worth all this effort? And Chai-Si's kind of presenting the idea of they need to be more responsible as well, and not just put it on the Avatar. And in fact, goes as far as to say, I've always believed in bettering my position, and that the burden to do so is mine alone. I'd wager that if the Avatar didn't exist, we ordinary mortals would act less foolishly. And it's an interesting idea, kind of pointing at the idea of, does humanity act the way it does, kind of knowing the Avatar exists as the sort of safety net to kind of rebalance things? And if that wasn't there, would people play it more cautiously, is sort of the idea. And it's an interesting talking point, of course. And, Yangchen puts it, but I do exist. The Avatar does exist. And you need to be accounted for. And here's where we finally get the big reveal. But what's interesting about it is it's not really a big reveal. It's exactly what you expect it to be. She says, Chai-Si says, Avatar, in our final afternoon working session, I'm going to propose a change to the Shang system that will cause quite a stir. I'd appreciate your complete and unwavering support in the matter. Yangchen says, what are your demands? Wording it very specifically. Not a demand, a path to a better future. I wish for the office of Zongdu to become lifetime and hereditary. And she also says, under such a regime, I would remain in control of Jondaree and all of the trade that flows through it. Upon my death, the title and responsibilities would pass to my heir. Yangchen naturally asks, what about Taku bin and Port Tugok? Is this a play for, do you want to control the entire Shang system and basically all world trade? Is that what you're trying to do here? But no, Chai-Si's like, not my concern. I could run those cities, but I'm not greedy. Controlling every sanctioned point of contact between the four nations feels like an overreach. And she's pointing out that this is a very reasonable thing. I'm the most competent official to ever hold this position in the whole Shang system. I've a vested interest in teaching my own flesh and blood to be equally diligent. I would provide a bedrock of stability in uncertain times. And this is where at this point you're thinking, like, wait, like, that's the extent of Chai-Si's ambition, very much in line with Kalyan from the previous chapter, that she kind of does just want to have the position she has currently, but to keep it beyond the few years that she's technically allowed to have it for now, and otherwise just have this clear path for her and her family to be the legacy and in control of Jondaree. She doesn't seek to gain further control of the Shang system, even though she could. And in so many ways, it's like, this is a reasonable approach. Like, this is Chai-Si being like, I will be the most stable fellow world leader effectively in the world. Like, I am the least of your troubles if you agree to this. This shouldn't be a problem. Agree and things will improve. Like, this will help you. And it is true. The problem, though, is all the stuff that Chai-Si has done to get here. But we actually do get there in the discussion here. Yangchen notes that, like, kind of thinking, like, this is how you would do it. Like, it's almost a crazy thing to, in any way, attempt in this day and age to sort of almost create another nation. But this is the most clever way that she's kind of seen to actually do it, where it's just to turn a temporary position into a finalized kind of position. And because she's not overreaching here, it seems like it's actually going to work. Chai-Si says, the terms would need to be ratified by the Earth King, Fire Lord, and Chief of the Water Tribe. But your passionate endorsement with the heads of state will again be required. But I foresee few objections in the end. I simply make everyone too much money not to get in my way. So Chicey is pretty certain that if she gets the support of the Avatar, that she'll basically get the support of the other world leaders, and that it's going to be agreed upon with the other Zongdus. And purely from a success point of view, why would they kind of disagree? Especially when they're kind of at odds with each other, so it doesn't seem like the Platinum Affair is going to end anytime soon. So this Shang system feels more kind of permanent in a way now than ever. This seems like a relatively reasonable point overall. She does yawn at this point, kind of noting that, like, oh, you don't get too much sleep as a new parent. I haven't caught up, even though, like, I've been away for a little bit. And she does say, like, you know, Yangchen is struggling with this. I would not ask you to go against your own aims. No fresh tragedy would sprout from your acquiescence. The four nations would not change for the worse. In fact, there are upsides to our relationship continuing. And it's like, you mean to imply you're a known quantity, a rational actor. And it's like, better I remain a fixture in your era than a rotating crop of fools. There are many favors we can do for each other. And this is the truth of it. Like, and she's like, Chicey says, take the gift I've handed you. Allow me to secure my legacy. And then, who knows, together we might work on yours. And that's really interesting because, again, like, there's in a way your reference to the title of the book, The Legacy of Yangchen. And Yangchen, of course, is struggling with the idea of, like, what would her legacy be with things going the way they're going right now. And Chicey's kind of pointing out that I'll be super stable. More than anything else going on in the world right now. It will be stable, and I can help you be a better Avatar if you just assist me with what I want. Which, you know, is it really that much is kind of what she's kind of saying to her here. But this is the point here. Yangchen says, I would only have to ignore the steps you took to arrive here. And obviously this is referencing the unanimity, how it happened, the amount of death, torture, brainwashing, all of this stuff that's going on in the background. That is the kind of other side of the Chicey plan. Again, they don't really touch on it too much here, but the idea is that Chicey would have John Dory to herself and would effectively fortify it with her private army of, you know, chi blockers, you know, maybe a lava bender or two, combustion benders, that sort of thing. And it is noted in all of this that, again, it mentions it here. A good asset delivered consistently over time with unanimity in her possession, Chicey could extort the Avatar forever. And that's the point here as well, is that as much as you're like, this is very, very reasonable, it's what if Yangchen says no, and you remember Thoppa is there. And that the whole plan here is the world leaders are going to be vulnerable when they arrive, and Chicey can just basically take them out with one call to Thoppa, basically. And once the world leaders are gone, that's going to create a situation where the world is going to take so long to recover from that would, in essence, I suppose, require the Zongdus to not switch positions, because they would be your only stable quote-unquote world leaders, and it would sort of almost create the same situation. So, you know, this is the kind of point being offered here. No one will die if you support me, Avatar, but you have to kind of quote-unquote condone what I've done to get here. If not, then I use Thoppa. That's the kind of point here. Chicey's response to the whole, like, we ignore what you did, basically, is what's done is done and can't be undone. Let's not assign too much weight to the past when the future is all that matters. So, very dismissive. She walks right around that challenge there. Doesn't attempt to expand on it. It's just like, I guess that happened, but we're not talking about that right now type thing. And Yangchen kind of thinks to herself that, like, I could make this deal now and basically no one would ever know. The only people who would know, future avatars who kind of go back far enough to look into, like, the exact dealings, and, like, you know, it would effectively be another person, another avatar with a similar thing to Yangchen being able to see so closely into the life of a past avatar. This could be this thing that she does, and it would be, like, easy. It would take a lot of the burden off Yangchen if she was to kind of agree to this. And we end the chapter with Yangchen layered her other hand atop Chicey's. I think we can ultimately come to a solution. And it's like, it's not quite a yes. It's not quite a no, but there's a little bit maybe more confidence in Yangchen in terms of what she does. When they finally get away all the pretense and get down to discussing what's actually at play here, Yangchen seems a little bit more kind of up for it than we perhaps thought. But it does seem like Chai-Si is still in the driving seat, like 100%. But you have to remember, she got the letter. We haven't caught up with what the situation is with the letter. And that's, of course, the significance of the coming chapters, is that we have to see what the result of the Kavik Kalyan incident is, the association head kickers versus the Order of the White Lotus. Do Kavik and Kalyan kind of make it out of that situation, and what goes on in all of this? That's the big thing that we're kind of waiting for here. But yeah, this chapter is really good. Like I think it is one of the better Chai-Si chapters in the book. Of course, I still maintain the first one, because of the strong backstory, is definitely the strongest one. But this is getting closer to it. I know some people might be a little bit disappointed that Chai-Si's ultimate goals is literally just what Hansha accused her of when they had their conversation in the first book, which is just that she gives the impression that, like, oh no, I'd never want to stay any longer as Zhongdu. The law is the law. Like, I'll do my time and move on. But Hansha is just like, no, you want a legacy, don't you? And when it comes down to it, that is the entire thing. That's all she wants. Like, she doesn't have an over ambition to do more than what she feels is kind of stable. And it's a sensible plan for her to not, like, want kind of more than she can actually truly control over. But it's also a bit like, oh wow, it really does come down to that. Like, in a way, for her, family is important. Like, she wants the idea of, like, her child, who we saw in that opening chapter, to have the same thing here. And the whole point of, like, doing this in a way where it's official, and that, like, it's basically the nations agree to it, and then to sort of almost like solidify it with the power of all these powerful benders, is to make it so that no one can take it away from her then, like what happened to her in the first chapter of the book. So, like, that core idea of Chai-Si's kind of like backstory and what she is kind of trying to stop from happening to her ever again, her whole family, is good. The only thing with Chai-Si is that the epilogue, when it comes to, like, resolving her character, why did they not come back to her? That's I think the only real problem in all of this. But we've still got a little bit of a ways to go. There's still another Chai-Si chapter where Chai-Si is in it. But really, really strong stuff, because this is what we've been waiting for. Like, they've had quite a few interactions, Yangchen and Chai-Si now, and we've never quite seen the two of them just be fully themselves, fully aware of the game that's being played, and just directly talking about it. So it's great to finally actually get that and see what solution they kind of come to. And I like that it is this very tempting offer. Like, the book presents it in a way where it's like, you just have to let those kind of tragedies of the past, like the facility is shut down, we're not doing it anymore, you just have to let that go, and I can be a pillar of stability in the world that the world needs. And that's the problem here, is like, does she let that go in the name of, like, greater peace maybe going forward, or take the harder path that will present more of a sense of kind of justice, actually taking Chai-Si down? Interesting stuff. But in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on this chapter. But that has been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.